Chapter 1. The Boy Who Became a God. In 1682, the most powerful man in Tibet died. Almost nobody found out. For 15 years. His name was Ngawang Lobsang Gyatso, the fifth Dalai Lama. Born in 1617 in a small village, far from any palace. At age 5, monks arrived at his family's door. They tested him. They showed him objects that had belonged to the previous Dalai Lama, mixed in with others. According to Tibetan tradition, he identified the correct objects. To the monks, that wasn't a coincidence. That was proof. The soul of the previous Dalai Lama had been reborn inside this child. He was taken from his family, raised inside monastery walls, taught scripture, politics, diplomacy, and the art of power long before he turned 20. By the time he was 25, Tibet was fractured. Rival kingdoms, competing monasteries, powerful warlords. No single ruler controlled the plateau. The young Dalai Lama saw an opportunity that few others dared to pursue. He reached out to a Mongol warlord named Gushri Khan, a man with an army of horsemen, and little patience for Tibet's endless conflicts. Their interests aligned. Gushri Khan wanted influence in Tibet. The Dalai Lama needed military power to reunify the plateau. Together, they changed Tibetan history. One by one, rival rulers fell. Ancient kingdoms were defeated. The political map of Tibet was redrawn in just a few brutal campaigns. In 1642, a new government was born, the Ganden Phodrang. For the first time in centuries, one ruler controlled most of Tibet, a god king on the rooftop of the world. But uniting Tibet through conquest was the easy part. Keeping it together without the army that built it would require something far more dangerous than swords. It would require a secret. Chapter 2. The Palace That Never Stopped. In 1645, the Dalai Lama started building a monument to his own power. The Potala Palace, carved into a mountainside above Lhasa. 1,000 rooms climbing upward like a fortress built for gods, not men. But this wasn't just architecture, it was politics, frozen in stone. Because the moment the conquest ended, the Dalai Lama faced a new problem. 3 powerful forces, all expecting rewards for their loyalty. The Mongols wanted influence over Tibet's future. The monasteries wanted their own power secured. And beyond the mountains, the Qing Empire watched carefully. The Dalai Lama played all 3 against each other. In 1652, he traveled to Beijing and met the Qing Emperor. Tibetan and Chinese sources would later tell very different stories about that meeting, each portraying it in a way that strengthened their own claims. Back home, he reshaped Tibetan government. Taxes became more centralized. Justice became more centralized. Land and political authority were reorganized to weaken rivals who might challenge him. He strengthened his own Golok school and limited the influence of some competitors, while publicly preaching unity and compassion. For 40 years, he held this impossible balance together. Mongols, Chinese, monasteries, nobility, all kept just far enough apart that none could easily unite against him. It was political genius, disguised as spiritual devotion. But genius doesn't stop the human body from failing. And in 1682, with the Potala Palace still unfinished, scaffolding still wrapped around its highest towers, the God King's body finally gave out. A small circle of trusted officials now knew a terrifying truth. The throne was empty, and one man would make a decision that reshaped Tibetan history for the next 15 years. He decided. Nobody else could know. Chapter 3. the death that never happened. His name was Desi Sangye Gyatso, the regent, the second most powerful man in Tibet, and now one of the few people who knew the truth. He understood something terrifying. The peace they'd built wasn't held together by treaties alone. It depended on the authority of one extraordinary man. If the Mongols heard the Dalai Lama was dead, they might try to dominate Tibet directly. If the Qing emperor heard, he might seek greater control over the region. If rival factions learned the truth, decades of old conflicts could erupt once again. So the regent made his move. He announced that the Dalai Lama had entered a deep, silent meditation retreat. A sacred practice. No visitors, no questions, no interruptions, not dead, just unreachable. Behind closed doors, he searched for a solution. Public appearances were carefully managed. Some later accounts even claim that stand-ins were used to maintain the illusion that the Dalai Lama still lived. For ceremonies, festivals, and distant audiences, the ruler remained a mysterious, silent figure. Behind the scenes, the regent governed in a dead man's name. Audicts were issued. Diplomacy continued. Construction on the Potala Palace carried on, brick by brick, as if nothing had happened. Every visitor was a potential disaster. One diplomat getting too close, one official asking too many questions, one person noticing something that didn't fit, and the entire deception could collapse in an instant. Chapter 4. 15 Years of Shadows. Somehow the secret held, year after year after year, while the illusion continued like the regent carried out his most urgent task. Finding the Dalai Lama's reincarnation, exactly as tradition demanded. He found a boy, a child believed to carry the soul of the dead God King, and he raised that boy in secret, far from public view, preparing him for a throne the world didn't yet know was vacant. Imagine the weight of that secret, an entire government ruling in the name of a man who had already died, because its leaders believed the truth might destroy everything he had built. Every ceremony, every diplomatic meeting, every blessing given to pilgrims who traveled for months, just to glimpse their ruler. All of it performed in the name of a dead man. In 1697, 15 years after the actual death, the regent finally revealed the truth. The fifth Dalai Lama was gone, had been gone for over a decade. A new Dalai Lama, the sixth, was enthroned in his place. The carefully raised, carefully hidden boy, now stepping into the light for the first time. The Potala Palace stood nearly complete. Tibet had avoided the immediate civil war and foreign intervention that many feared. The deception had achieved its purpose, but the secret would cast a long shadow over the politics that followed. To this day, historians still debate exactly how many people inside that palace knew the truth, and chose silence rather than risk everything they had built. Would you have kept the secret if revealing it meant risking the collapse of an entire kingdom?